Here now. All right. And we're back here on Couch Coach Live, back here on a Wednesday night under the lights here at Couch Coach Live. We back here at it. What's going on, Maui?
What's up, man?
All right. I think I hear some feedback. I hear something like a vacuum.
Was it
Not
that?
sure. No, it's not that. It was like a vacuum. It sounded like a vacuum. I think you're good. I think we're good now. Cause I do hear some feedback. All right. All right. So I think we're good. We're good. All right. So we're back here once again on Couch Coach Live here Wednesday night under the lights. What's going on, Mal?
I'm good.
Yeah, man. We're here another Wednesday night, the night before for everything really goes down NCAA tournament. We did have some the first four matchups in, so we'll be talking about that. So we'll talk about UVA losing in embarrassing fashion last night. Did they actually deserve to make it to the tournament at all? We'll talk about Justin Fields being traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Even RG3 suggesting that Caleb Williams, who had his pro day today, should pull Eli Manning. We'll talk about that as well. And then we'll give our final four picks for the NCAA men's and women's Final Four. I got some interesting Final Four picks. I'll kind of tease that. And we'll have our special guest coming on. And a few, our guy Shay from Marquee Sports and Events, we'll have him on talk about his Marquee Madness tournament that's coming up this weekend. We'll talk about that and give his takes on our topics tonight. So what we'll do, we'll be right back here on Couch Coach Live. We'll kick that intro, and we'll be right back.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And we're back here on Couch Coach Live. We're back at here once again on a Wednesday night here under the lights. This week's Couch Coach Live is powered by SeatGeek. Head to SeatGeek.com. Use the promo code CouchCoach at checkout. So obviously, if you're going to any of the March Madness games in all the areas across the country, definitely use the promo code CouchCoach on your first purchase and get yourself $20 off. And we're back at it here once again on the eve of by far probably one of the biggest sports holidays there is March Madness as we now headed to March Madness. Definitely looking forward to it. So we gotta talk a little UVA. Gosh, what world, man. So obviously, um, so last night as we talked about it, yes, as we talked about a little bit earlier, as far as when it comes to the NCAA tournament, there are four matchups for the first four in matchups. So UVA was playing Colorado State. In other words, a ticket to play Texas on Thursday. So of course, UVA lost that game by a final score of 67-42. It was a very atrocious game. Where do I begin? They scored 14 points in the first half. They went scoreless in the first half. The last 9 minutes and 20 seconds, they shot 17% in the first half, and yeah. So, what's your thoughts on this loss, UVA? I know a lot of people are thinking that they deserve to make it, which I'll talk about that momentarily. Your thoughts on the loss, and then just UVA going forward. Like, I mean, it's just one of the things. I know a lot of people will call it for Tony Bennett to,
Right.
to back it up. But so, what are your thoughts on UVA's 25-point loss?
I mean, when I watched the game, man, they looked bullied. They got bullied. Looked like they had a game plan, and Colorado was just a little more disciplined, organized. They trusted one another. They were talking. I mean, they got 13 or 17 assists. Just that alone. When you look at the stats, um, you can if you look at the stats, you can see they had Colorado had 15 turnovers. So that means that in some type of way, UVA actually could have had a chance, but they got out rebound. Um, and that's basically what Colorado did. They trusted each other. They played physical. They went inside. A lot of cuts. You know what I mean? They kept moving. They didn't stay stagnant, and it just seemed like they were on another level compared to Virginia, to the Cavaliers, and it looks like they just really wasn't ready to play, or they just didn't have the spirit to play. Sometimes you can have a more talented team, but just have the spirit to say, hey man, have pride to want to fight, and it just didn't look like they had that. They didn't have like a guaranteed play where they can get a guaranteed bucket. It looked like they was trying to force everything. But hey, University of Virginia was ranked what, 194. Their offense was ranked 194. Like, I won't say they shouldn't have been there because they just won the championship. I know it was different players in 2019. So you being Tony Bennett is actually supposed to be professional enough, because it's more than just what you do on the court. It's also you have a obligation to NCAA TV service of, you know what I mean, of having a team to be entertained, because this is, like they've been saying, like this has been one of the worst years for people even talking about men's college basketball. They're talking to more females than men's. You know what I mean? And that it's looking like that's part of it also. Like, the entertainment value of it. But yeah, I don't have much. I was really, as I was watching, wanted to see what you had to say about it. But like I said, if they would have been, they just couldn't get a bucket too, man. If they just would have figured out a way to push themselves a little harder, and there was turnovers there for them to make a bucket, but they just couldn't make a bucket.
Yeah, UVA. They were in the fence for me the whole entire year.
Hmm.
Offensively, they've struggled, and
Right.
it's not something new with this regime. This, I think, now is more polarizing now.
Hmm.
Obviously, with this loss to Colorado State in this type of fashion. Yeah, I think UVA needs to go back to the drawing board. I mean,
Hmm.
obviously, as you mentioned earlier, this that they haven't won the NCAA tournament game since they beat Texas Tech 5 years ago in to win the championship. So
Hmm.
a lot has changed since since that team. Um, I don't. Part of me, I know people gonna say, well, UVA was third in the ACC, that they had a ticket, but to me, I, they were on the fence. They were kind of like, if UVA would have got out, I wouldn't have been like upset about it. I would have just like, okay, it makes sense because I mean they lost to NC State in the conference championship. I think they were like what 20. I think they were like 23-10 or something like that. They were third in the ACC. Normally, if you're third in the ACC, you always generally gonna make it, regardless of how the conference is. But then they lose like that to NC State. They even though they pretty much challenged NC State, probably out of all the teams that NC State probably pretty much played in the ACC tournament. So um, I yeah, but yeah, this is one of those. It's embarrassing. I mean, especially when you consider the fact you could have had like a more of an intriguing matchup if you would have had St. John's in this matchup, or if you
Hmm.
would have had. I know it's hindsight, it is, but like Indiana State would have been a great story for Indiana State to have been in that position. I mean, it's a couple teams that kind of skid by. Even a team like Pitt could have made somewhat of somewhat of the argument to be in the NCAA tournament, but it is what it is. But yeah, Tony Bennett, he's gonna have to readjust it, and he's gonna have to get a guy that can score the bucket. They have to be more offensively challenged. The defense thing is cool, like him, having defense,
Right.
having some of these, kind of mid level kind of guy scores, but he needs that, especially considering the fact in this conference where you got the Dukes, you got the Carolinas, you got perennial teams that are, especially who always have offensive talent scattered across the league, not just you know to Carolina and Duke, but it's one of those where they need to kind of keep up with it, to catch up with the times, and start recruiting some scores and get the job done.
And you Virginia, and this is a balling state. You know what I mean? You may go get some of these boys out here. Some of these boys can really play, man. You know what I mean? It's no
Yeah,
excuse for you not to have somebody that can break somebody down
yeah.
by themselves. Like, But let me ask you a quick question. And I'll answer it real quick after you. Do you think they should fire him?
No, I think if I don't necessarily think they need to fire him. I think it's going to be to a point where he's on the hot seat.
Right.
I don't necessarily think this year would be the right time to do that,
Mm-hmm.
but he's on the hot seat. I think if there's no situation where he doesn't make the tournament next year or have a similar fate as this year, then you want to start considering it because you just because they're gonna need some even though we say it's easy to say hey well he need to change his format, but he's been like that even in his days at Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
Even now he's been here for 15 years and he's pretty much has had literally almost the same type of personnel in his 15 years at UVA. So I necessarily think, I mean, it could be some tweaks to it, but I don't think
Right.
it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be nothing significant that he can fix to a point unless they make a crazy run and and win a national championship or advance
Right.
maybe to the Sweet 16 or
Right.
Elite Eight or something like that. But yeah,
I don't either. I don't think that he should be fired. I think with the transfer portal, there's all types of opportunities out there that you may never knew that they were out there because those guys may have never thought that they had a chance. You're just gonna have to work. You're just gonna have to really get you a nice team together and go out there and recruit.
yeah. And that's the thing. And will he have guys that fit his system? That's the thing about it. And how his system's gonna be with that. But we see but he's had good talent guys. Like he has I think about DeAndre Hunter that now I guess I think do he still play for the Hawks? I guess he still play for the Hawks, but I'm not sure. But I mean he's had NBA caliber guys,
Mm-hmm.
Malcolm Brogdon in his 10 years. So, maybe he can grab somebody like that. But it's gonna be a very interesting offseason for UVA and what they're gonna do because yeah, it's somewhat of a standard because you think because now they haven't won a tournament game in 5 years, so it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's to a point where you're really living off that championship, and thank God he had that championship because if he
Right.
didn't have that, coupled with because now we've kind of forgot about he was the first number one seed to lose to a 16 seed.
Right.
He was the first one. Luckily it happened last year, so we don't really talk about it. And then coupled
Right.
with that championship that they got the following year. So,
Right.
but you think to yourself, God, if he didn't win that national championship, man, I mean, it would be a different story.
Right.
That would be a huge difference, like because he's won one, and and the thing about it with the regular season is just like it wouldn't just make sense to get rid of him at this point because they were a 20-win team. Most time when you're a 20-win team and you're the third team in the ACC, that's usually a great year. But the way you lost in this type of fashion is kind of like is is crazy. But
Right.
they've had offensive woes the whole entire year. Like it's almost to a point if they can score less than 50, oh you won. Like,
I mean, you
it's
saying
that bad.
something about system, but even him after that, like he said that
Yeah.
some in the press conference, something got to change, and somebody's got to tell him, like, look, this is we dealing with TV money, and we want people watching these games, and it's a lot of money that's tied into it. So you can't just be out there thinking that this is my system and this is nah, man. You're gonna have to add something else to it. You always should want to ascend. You shouldn't always say, hey, I'm
Yeah.
sticking by this thing. But you got to grow,
Yeah.
especially if it's not working.
Yeah. 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 Because he's got to do something because his leash is gonna be short, and it's
You can
just
you can only hide under that shadow for so long. He's
yeah,
194th offense. That's crazy.
yeah, and that's the thing about it. The thing about it, like we talking about it, like it never changes. But thing as far as, but it's been like that. That's the crazy thing about all of this, where it's just
Right.
like it's so it's that's UVA's ball. Like it kind of it's just their system under Tony Bennett, and
Right.
it's unexplainable. This is how this is their standard. But
Right.
losing 25 in a play-in game, it's gonna be eye raising. Like I can see like
Right.
maybe in the first, in the first round,
Right.
and because think about even last year they lost. I think was he lose to like Furman or I forgot who they lost to somebody because they were
Right.
like a two or three seed last year and they lost in
Right.
the first round
Right.
and they didn't even get to this. They didn't even get to this round. They lost in the first four.
Right.
The
So
first
look,
yeah.
you said they had 14. They didn't have a bucket for the last 9. So then what? They didn't get the last 14 minutes in the second half. I think they didn't get a bucket or something like it's just come on,
It was
man.
Yeah, because so it was like it was like a 14 minutes between. So
Right.
okay,
Right.
it was like 9:20 they
Right.
scored their last bucket in the first half. They didn't score to like 16 minutes, well, like 4 minutes and pass in the second half. So I think they said it's like a little like 13 minutes, but then like in real time it's like 52 minutes, almost an hour. Minus the timeouts,
Right.
the stoppage of play, halftime, and all that. But it's a condensed time, like I almost went an hour without scoring.
It's definitely a sit down conversation I got to have with him. If I
Yeah,
was the boy, I was head of athletics or something like man, and I would give him those stats like
yeah.
I get it, but you got to do something that you got to adjust with what's going on. And defense do win championships, but you have got to capitalize off those defense, off those turnovers, and you got out rebound. They got out rebound bad. It wasn't a 3-point. Like we look at stats, it wasn't a
Mm-hmm.
3-pointer shootout, and then they beat them up in the middle. Like oh my god, like they really did. Like back against, and then watching them cut, it was crazy. It was like watching Jordan, man, when he, the triangle. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah. And shout to Carla Williams. She gonna have a job on her hand to talk to Tony Bennett. But hey, but I think that'd be fine. I think another year in his. I think another year in he'll not figure it out, but yeah, sports is a little different, especially now when you have won a national championship and you have really,
right,
that's one thing about being somewhat of an overachiever because it sucks because something like this shouldn't even become the question. Like most people will be like, okay, you done won 22 games, you're third in the ACC, and you're
mhm,
like, you had a pretty incredible season.
right,
But it show you like the standard,
right,
and that's what Duke has, not Duke, but what UVA has done in these last years with Tony Bennett. This is it's expected, but losing like in this fashion is not
right,
expected.
right,
So it is wild. So we're gonna bring in our guy Shay. We're gonna bring him in. We'll let him cap
right.
off this conversation with the Cavs, and then we'll go with the next topic. Bring in our guy. What's going on, Shay?
What's going on? What's going on, fellas?
What's
Appreciate
going
Oh,
y'all
on?
having me.
good shit.
Yeah.
So you came at the right time. So we will get ready to cap off our thoughts on UVA losing last night to Colorado State. What your thoughts on the game last night?
That's a rough watch, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I'm not even gonna lie to you. It's a rough watch. I mean, 14 points in the first half. Um, you know, you see the high. I mean, even at the high school level, they're running, and so I just think it's the style of play.
Right,
Um, I mean, there's no excuse for scoring 14 points. Um, in my opinion, I know it's worked in the past, but I mean, to me, like I went to the last year I went to the ACC tournament, and UVA made it to the championship. They
mm,
made it. They also, I watched the semifinals and the championship. Um, and
yeah,
to be honest, it was as a fan of basketball, just watching it. Unless you're a UVA fan, it's a hard watch.
mm,
Because they play so methodical. You know what I mean? So I just think what I hope is he kind of switches it up a little bit and get some guys that and let them go up and down and play a little faster. Um, and Ben is a great coach. I'm not not taking
right,
anything away from him or nothing like that. But I just think the game, you know, you, if the game don't stay the same, you know what I mean? And
right.
uh, so it was just a rough watch. I was talking to a couple of my friends who went to UVA, and I'm like, yo, what is going on? And he like, you must ain't watch UVA. I said, I watched them a few times. I know how they play. I know it's a slow paced game, but 14 points. That's.
Still.
I mean, just think about playing out there. And you got 14.
Yeah.
Right.
Man.
And when you watch the game, like the players just look like, man, we got to do something. It's almost like they should have said, yo, let's do what we know how to. Let's do something, man, because
Right.
the coach ain't gonna do it because like they're part of that team. You know what I mean? Everybody looking at the coach, but even them, like, and you're right. If they just probably would have, Colorado had 15 turnovers. How do you not capitalize off of 15 turnovers?
Right.
Yeah,
So
you gotta score.
Yeah,
score.
Yep. I hope we can get some people in there, man,
Right.
and excite some things up. Change it up a little bit. But yeah, I'm always gonna go for the hometown side. But that was rough. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah, you gonna be
I ain't got too much positive. Positive way to spin that.
Yeah, it was terrible. So I was like, it put me to bed. I ain't gonna front. Like that first half, I was like, man, this is horrible basketball. But yeah, so we'll shift our focus. We'll talk a little bit more college basketball towards the end of the show. So we'll tease that. So we'll go talk a little NFL. So we'll talk about an interesting trade happened on Saturday. So obviously, let's back it up a little bit. So on Friday, Russell Wilson was introduced as the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback around 12:30 in the afternoon. Then all of a sudden, about 2 hours later, during Russell Wilson's press conference, they asked him about his thoughts with Kenny Pickett and said, hey, he said, hey, we're gonna, I forgot what Russell Wilson said, but he was saying, hey, we're gonna play hard and we're gonna be the best version of ourselves every day. And then all of a sudden, 2 hours later, Kenny Pickett gets traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. So that left Russell Wilson as the only quarterback in the quarterback room. So on Saturday, the Chicago Bears traded Justin Fields to the Pittsburgh Steelers for a 6th-round pick. It is conditional. So in the event if Justin Fields does play 51% of the snaps in 2024, he'll receive they'll give a 4th-round pick.
Yeah.
The Bears will get a 4th-round pick. So I'm gonna go around the horn first, fella. So what's your thoughts on Justin Fields being traded to the Steelers? I'm gonna go with you first, Shay. What you got?
Man, I like it. I like it. I mean, shoot, you improve your QB room. I mean, like within a week, it was crazy. So I think it's a good situation for Justin Fields. I'm glad he's able to get to a spot where you can have some stability. I mean, I don't know how many coaches. It seemed like offensive coordinators, head coaches were getting fired every year. So you can, I know they like to say, hey, it's a produce or not produce league, but that's not being put in the best opportunity. When you got that much change, you can never really learn the offense or anything like that. So I'm glad to see him get into a stable situation. I was listening to a couple of the sports talk early in the week, and they were saying that the Bears really wanted to do right bound. So I guess that was their way to do right bound. I hope that wasn't really smart business wise, probably, but I'm glad to see him in a good situation. I think the Steelers gonna be the AFC. What's that? The AFC North, right?
Yeah.
Yep. That's gonna be. I mean, it was good this year. This past year, it's gonna be even crazier. This upcoming year, with the Pittsburgh having a stable QB situation. I know people make fun of Russ and stuff like that, but he didn't play bad last year. That was a tough situation. I don't really think Peyton really wanted him, and so yeah, I think it's gonna work out well for the Steelers. I like it.
Yeah, And Shay, I don't know why they throw dirt on our boy, the 2-time Richard Times Patch Player of the Year. I don't know why they do that.
Always, hey man, hey, I know why. It's cause look, people be just trying. You know how people.
We know, but you know what I'm saying.
It's because he from Tuckahoe.
Pretty much,
right?
Right. Hey. You know what I mean? We diverse out here. We even diverse out here. Everybody can't be like Lamar Jackson. You know what I mean?
Right. So, Maui, man, your thoughts on now? A quarterback room, man.
I'm ecstatic. We got a GM that's working, and it looked like to me like he know how to play spades or something. He just know how to. He working the hell out of this table. You know what I'm saying? Because Justin Fields will not be playing at all this season because they are not giving up that 4th pick. I will be shocked. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna say this honestly. I feel like the Steelers have had a curtain over their head since Tomlin been there. First, when he first got there, and I know this is about Justin Fields, but I'm saying everything is they done finally cleaned house, is what I'm saying. So we don't have the Gruden issues. We don't have the Ben Roethlisberger issues. Canada's gone. Canada wanted Pickett. Like everything is Pickett he didn't want to be the Rudolph is gone. Like now Tomlin finally got his own squad. Like, he got his GM there. They all working together. It's funny how every time there's an issue with some type of African American quarterback, like Vic played for the Steelers. They went up, but he was with Tomlin. Mm-hmm. What's my man? What's Haskins?
Yeah.
He ended up going there and he changed. And remember how they were dogging him and say he changed. He was happy to play for them and get a chance, maybe an opportunity in the future to maybe be for another team. And from what they were saying today, Chicago is upset about this. Mm-hmm. But Shay, I didn't hear that they said they wanted to do right by Fields. So maybe they said, hey man, we're gonna send you over here because they're gonna take care of you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm loving what they're doing. I haven't really been saying anything because my brethren from Cleveland, every year on the off season when he has a great draft or something, he brags, and I'm saying, B, you guys are the Cleveland Browns. Y'all always have a great off season. So, but where do y'all be at when every year, So I'm just really happy for them. They working off season. I think they taking steps forward because they got weapons. They always had a defense. They had a young line, offensive line. They've always had receivers. We got 2 good running backs. Like, we got rid of Johnson. I'm happy he's gone. Like I said, he was a Ben Roethlisberger dude. He out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have nothing negative to say. It's just hopefully they can put everything together. One thing I did say this before I move on. I'm seeing these dudes on ESPN and on the other channels talking about a quarterback competition. What? You know what I mean? No, we're not doing that right now. We're not doing that right now. We're trying to go in as a team and win as a team. And whatever, let me say this. Me being a Steeler, Charlie Batch was there when Ben Roethlisberger was there. Mm-hmm. And what people got to understand, Batch probably could have went somewhere and started, but he said, I'm going to go ahead and be the backup. And anytime Ben had issues, he'd come up and he could just go ahead and just make sure we get a win until Ben get healthy. And I'm hoping the same thing happens here. I understand Fields is young and he most likely may go somewhere. That's fine. But, man, if you can't sit down for about a year or 2, get some knowledge in and go do your thing because the opportunity going to be there. Just ask Joe Flacco.
Yep. Geno Smith.
Right.
Yeah, I like the move. It made sense at this point. That's definitely considering the fact after the other domino drop with Kenny Pickens.
Right.
Pickett. Yeah. So I like the move, but I don't believe what the Bears said as far as the whole situation of doing right by him. I heard that too, and I'm like, if you actually honestly be real, like if you want to, the quarterback market at the time swelled up because you look at if you look at everybody else, like if I'm them, I would have been on the phone with everybody Monday at 12:01 during the legal tampering period and get him out of there, because now you waited 5 days after the fact. You look at Kirk Cousins, he went. Who other other quarterbacks that went? Sam Darnold went to Minnesota. Other quarterbacks. Russell Wilson went to Pittsburgh. So my thing is that my situation. You even look at guys who got traded. Sam Howell got traded for a third-round pick, and even Kenny Pickett got traded for a third as well. So the fact to get Justin Fields as a sixth round, and to me, they have better NFL resumes than the both of them. So it's kind of one of those, I get what the Bears were saying, but you did that. You had no choice, because that was the only place where he was going to be able to go, because everybody pretty much has their quarterback in place, like we talked about last week, where we didn't know where Justin Fields was going to go. He was that guy. We thought he was going to be the unlucky one that was in the musical chairs and he wouldn't have had no seat to sit at. But now with the Kenny Pickett move, that opened the door for him. But I do like the deal. I mean, obviously, your quarterback room has significantly increased. So in the event, if you do have those situations, you don't have to really, be down to the bare bottom, having guys like a Mason Rudolph trying to save you, or Mitchell, Joe Montana, Trubisky, inside joke, to save you in a sense. So just one of those where, again, in the push come shove, if something happens with Russ, you got Justin Fields as a backup, and then to a point where if he plays poor or what have you, you have a backup. So you have a situation, and he's, and we all know when it comes to backup quarterbacks, you're the most popular person in town. So he's the most popular person in Pittsburgh at this point because he's the backup. So, it's a great move. I know it sucks for him because with the bad situation, those guys really loved him. I know, like DJ Moore was, clamoring for him. Obviously, I know he talked about, as far as he wanted Justin Fields to be the quarterback in 2024. But it is what it is. But I like the move, and we'll see what Justin Fields can do. And like you said, we'll find out really soon about Justin Fields. Obviously, they will have to eventually have to pay him either next year or the following year. So, we'll find out if the long-term plans for them, for the Steelers team. So you got someone for the future, and then you got someone that can take care of business this year. So, you got. I will be more encouraged, like as like what you mean. I feel more encouraged as far as the quarterback situation down the line, because I know in the offseason they were saying, well, not in the offseason, but post Super Bowl, a lot of people Pittsburgh was saying, well, we're gonna keep what we got, and they got rid of all three of them. So now you got these two guys where I'll feel confident in either both of them if something was to go down, versus, oh gosh, we got Mason Rudolph, for 6 weeks. Or Mitch Trubisky playing.
I wasn't complaining.
I ain't saying you, but
he won some games from me.
Yeah, I say Mason Rudolph good for 2. He good for 2.
But
you try to get more than 2 than that. That's when you get in trouble.
I'm hurt. I was hurt. Damn, Jordan from New Kids on the Block is gone. That's what I call him.
yeah, he gone.
I was like, damn, But I'm sure they like, well, damn. I'm honestly. I'm gonna be real with you. The way, I'm not gonna say that. The times have changed. He might have done it professionally, but I really think that Kenny Pickett had everything kind of handed to him. And for him to just say, I want to leave, I get it. But man, that seemed kind of selfish to me, because he had everything handed to him, and he really didn't. He did okay his first year, but come on, man. Like, he didn't. If he did good enough that everybody say, man, I think y'all going to be all right next year with that quarterback. He just needs a little more time for him to be a first. But come on, man. Oh,
Yeah.
And he said when they going to compete for the first round? When they competing for the quarter to be? Didn't they say him and Russell supposed to compete? Allegedly, right?
No, we know there won't gonna be no competition though, but
right, and he know it too.
Yeah. But this is my thing with that. Like, I get it. I get if Kenny Pickett wanted to go somewhere where he can become the starter, but you're going to Philly. You're going to a guy that's your peer, like age wise. So it's kind of like I found it kind of remind me almost like McCorkle Jones and Trevor Lawrence. They're in the same draft class, and he's backing up Trevor Lawrence. So it's kind of like, Now, like, okay, you can say, well, he's here for 1 year. At least you backing up a guy that's for a long, for 1 year.
Right.
You got a guy who done signed a major contract last year, got an extension
Mm-hmm.
last year,
Right.
so he
Right.
ain't going nowhere no time soon. So it's like now, like if he was going somewhere, I'm just throwing it out there as an example. Like if he, well, ain't really nobody. I mean, he wouldn't start nowhere. I mean, at this point. But if there was a start position, I would have tried to go somewhere at least where there's competition. Maybe like Minnesota. Could I beat out Sam Darnold in Minnesota? Could
Word.
I? Or could I? You're right. So it's like, could I
Mm-hmm.
beat him out there? I could do that, or I can go maybe somewhere. Maybe I can beat up maybe Gino and Sam Howell, maybe. But
Mhm.
going to Pittsburgh, I mean, going to Philly is like, dude, you're going to be the backup for your
Yeah.
career. At this point, you behind Jalen Hurts, and
Yeah.
if you're with an aging quarterback like a Russell Wilson, that would have made sense. But I
Word.
just
I
thought it was
don't.
rather
It's just, to me, I would have thought that people wouldn't because if it been on the other hand, I know y'all know what I'm talking about. I felt like the media would have beat that dude up. You know what I mean? Harder than it,
oh
and
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
like they just kind of like brushed it off. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, he said he
yeah,
want to go home. I'm like, yeah, like they handed it to him. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was like he
and
knew from the time he
and
was drafted that he was eventually gonna start. Like, you know what I mean?
and like you said, to your point, I'm glad you brought it up. Home could be the Giants in theory because you're from New Jersey, so you should play for like. I
Yeah.
would try at least say, hey, can I be but then you got the Daniel Jones situation, even though they're a little frustrated with Daniel Jones as well, and I know they want to pretty much kind of get rid of him in his contract, and you get him on it cheap. You at least you can compete with Daniel
Who
Jones
backing Daniel
compared to
Jones? Who backing him up? When did that dude, that
It
pizzeria dude,
was
the mob
Tyrod
dude?
Taylor.
it
Tyrod
was
Taylor was
Tyrod.
the one.
Yeah, he went to the Jets. It's at this point it's Tommy DeVito, but they're saying he
DeVito,
may
yeah.
not
Right.
come back. He may not come back. So,
Word.
and then
He,
you're thinking,
he
mhm,
not under contract.
I don't know. I
He was
think
like a
they were
rookie.
saying, yeah, he is, but I think those type of deals. They either get rid of him or what have you.
Oh, okay,
And that's
okay.
another one where that would have been perfect because, and who knows, with the Giants drafting 6, they might get a quarterback. They might be
Right.
in the shop and maybe getting JJ McCarthy potentially,
Right.
or whoever's still available at 6 for them. So it's like that's why I can say I found it odd. You went to the others. You should have went if you want to compete. You should have went to the Giants.
Because he don't. He want to be a backup. He couldn't really handle that pressure. Let's just be
You know what
real.
I'm saying?
You could
Yeah,
tell by his
yeah.
face he ain't really want to be out there like that.
I
And
mean,
that's my quarterback. I
yeah,
get it. You know what I'm saying?
it
He
makes
ain't really want
sense.
to be out there. He just want to get that little bit of paper.
Yeah,
But
he
he cool.
gonna get that backup check. Ain't nothing wrong with
Yeah.
it. Check.
Yeah,
Ain't
I
nothing
mean,
wrong with
hey,
it.
do what you gotta do. Right, do what you gotta do for sure. Because yeah, because you definitely ain't gonna be no starter no time soon.
And
Yeah, nah.
it's weird because
Or
I
yeah,
mean I don't like I don't like Baker Mayfield. But I'm honest and be honest with you. If I had to pick between them two, I'm picking Baker.
Oh
oh
yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Because he's won 2 playoff games. He's
Yeah.
won more playoff games than Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, it is what it is.
I didn't
Right.
even think about that though.
Me neither.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. So I mean,
Man.
he's at least he's proven, and he's he's still growing. He's still getting better. And now you
Mhm.
see him now in a situation where there's no turmoil, like there's no turnover, like he's in a stable spot. And you see
Mhm.
where he's
Right.
at. So yeah, yeah. So it's funny when we talked about the bear situation,
Mhm.
and so essentially, obviously now there is a void at the quarterback position for the Chicago Bears, but we all know that allegedly that the Chicago Bears will draft Caleb Williams with their number 1 overall pick via the Carolina Panthers. But we'll talk about that for another show. So, and of course, RG3, obviously, former former Baltimore Ravens quarterback, Cleveland Brown. So he pretty much said in the clip, a few clips, and he was saying that Caleb Williams should pull a Eli Manning. And so pretty much stating that, hey, demand the Bears to not draft you with the number 1 overall pick. So He also said that, and this is on the wake of our previous topic when we were talking about Justin Fields, and he was saying after everything with Justin Fields, can Caleb Williams really look at that and say, you know what, this organization that has my best interests at heart, and they are going to help develop me into the player I want to become. So, what's your thoughts on RG3 statement, and should Caleb Williams pull a Eli Manning? I'll go with you first, Shay.
Um, should he pull a Eli Manning? Um, if he had the cachet, he could. But he don't. The Manning family. That's there was a football family. Um, so they got more pull than what he has, even though he's arguably one of the best prospects. I guess probably at the QB position, at least in the last 10, maybe a little longer. I mean, just as a prospect goes. Um, so I don't think he can. Um, I'm skeptical of the Bears organization. Um, I'm hoping that they provide some stability. They have made some moves to improve the offense, at least from the skill position. I don't know what it looks like in the interior. Not I didn't watch a ton of Bears football, to be honest with you,
Right.
for their line situation. But if they got some people that can help block, do decent, um, I think they'll be okay. And I just hope that they create a stable situation. I hope that the owner doesn't get fed up if they go 6 and what is it, 17 games now,
11. Yeah,
6-11, or 7-9. I could see them finishing close to 500. But depending on what they got in the interior, that's what it's always about in football. So the interior gonna win games for you offensively and defensively. Um, so depending on that, they could have 500, a 500 season. I mean, it's tough to go from you know how bad they were last year to um, being a playoff team. That's a tough transition. It typically doesn't happen that way, um, and you got to build towards that. So hopefully, like they create a stable situation. Don't fire the GM. Don't fire the coach. Um, if they don't meet expectations within that first year, and they be patient. But I think that's what it's about. But I hope he does well. I hope he does well. I'm rooting for him. I like him. Um, so hopefully it turns out well. I don't want to see my man go down, because you know how it goes. If he have a rough couple years, it's like, oh, is he a bust? And then you you might get another 6th-round conditional pick, like they
Right.
just did with Justin
Yep.
Fields.
Right. No, you're right. You want me to go see? Hey,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. I'm happy you went that way. I'm gonna go a different way. Man, RG3 is trolling. Trolling. I had to think about it, right?
Facts.
And I remember at one point that there was questions about maybe they'll do this, so maybe he can go to another team and maybe that team can get him because he's from the district. You know what I mean? And I was like, and what RG's argument is right. Like, why if and he could do it? I know Eli Manning, they said, man, I don't want to come near when you just got rid of Justin Fields. And when the way they broke everything down contract wise, they was better off keeping Justin Fields money wise. So why would you want Caleb coming in? Then you finally went and got all these weapons when all he had was DJ Moore.
Mm-hmm.
Like Cam Newton spoke about that. Like, and that's who Justin Fields looked like to me when I seen his highlights. I was like, bro, he big like Cam. He run like hard like Cam. He throw like, I'm like, and he only had one. Then he had it. He stood there, was positive, then throw the organization on the bus, and you still let him go. So you trying to tell me you want this young man to come in, and these young kids are different. Even though Eli Manning did, they look like, well, I could do the same thing. I don't want to go there. If I have an opportunity to go home, now, see, I know you're gonna speak on it. Me, actually, I really think that that's how it should be because DC has been the basketball team is horrible, and they've been going that's one of the best organizations. I'm a Steeler, but the Washington football team and the Commanders are one of the best organizations because you can go watch a game with them and have a great time. You're not gonna argue, or you may go back and forth, but ain't no beef there. You know what I mean? And I feel like they really hurting about all the politics dealing with the ex owner and things of that nature. So I definitely think Caleb should be able to go there. Because then we was having discussions about them make the moves and try to get Caleb. Maybe if he can get, they keep Fields and maybe they draft Marvin Harris Jr. Remember that? Remember we were talking about that coach? So like I was saying, I said, man, RGT trolling. He trying to say, boy, don't you go to them Bears? Look what they just done Justin Fields, man. You better see if you can go home. And that's how I took it. I was like, and then he went on other team and he was battling all these. I said, why is he doing that? Because I said, hold up. Now I know he's been there. Man, he trolling. He's like, man, the Bears organization have had issues with quarterbacks for I don't know how long. Probably since the last time they went to the Super Bowl. They've had issues with the quarterback play, organization play, and everything. Don't you go there because you're gonna go through you're gonna go through the same issues. So that's my take on that. I think he's trolling. But I'm not saying he ain't right though. If you can do that, man, then hey, control your destiny.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually threw he dead wrong for this. It doesn't make sense for Caleb Williams not to get drafted by the Bears. Like to me,
Right.
I'm at a point where because you like this whole thing of like them doing people wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Every organization has done somebody wrong.
Right.
So it's like don't and to me, him going to DC, I don't want him to come to DC because just the simple fact of him being a hometown kid, and we know how in this area he get vilified. I don't want him to be like how Chase Young is at this point in DC law, and even God rest his soul, Dwayne Haskins was the same way. Where when things went south with him, people were saying stuff about him in a negative way, and the same thing will go with him. Where this place is not this ain't for the weak, like so this ain't a place where it could be a happy landing place in Washington. So my thing is, you stay with the Bears. I think when you look at because if he drops, between Chicago, Washington, and New England, he's saying he's not gonna go. That's where he's gonna go. Either of those three spots. He's not gonna drop to 4. He's gonna be there. So my thing with that situation is the Bears probably are in the better position, in my personal opinion, because of the fact. They got a guy like a Keenan Allen. They acquired him, so that's a great safety net for him, especially like on those short intermediate passes. He can hit him, and he's guaranteed. As a kid say, it's a guaranteed bucket. But we talk about football.
Mm-hmm.
But I like that move. Obviously, you bring in DeAndre Swift, Taylor Swift cousin.
Mm-hmm.
I know we talked about Taylor Swift in March. My bad. But anyway, DeAndre Swift, you bring him in. So you also either that's already coupled with DJ Moore and then also Cole Kmet. He has some solid weapons to start, from the jump compared to like a Justin Fields where they really didn't have that many playmakers around him. But I think they do best with him. And then even defensively, you re-sign Jalen Johnson, and then you also re-sign Montez Sweat. So I mean, it's going to be a good, solid team, compared to. And they've been making strides. And I think it's just one of those things where, wherever he goes, and you think about it, if he goes, like say, Washington, they just traded their starting quarterback too. And the same thing go with New England. They just traded their quarterback too, and Mac Jones. And you think about it, like I said, we talked about Washington, you don't want that hometown situation. And then with New England, Lord, they let a former defensive coordinator and a special teams be the offensive coordinator for Mac Jones. So, and not to say because Bill Belichick ain't there, but I forget who is their offensive coordinator. I forgot who the offensive coordinator, but it's not nobody of note. So so it's one of the things where I think he's in the best situation in Chicago. I mean, out of the three that he could potentially go, and like you said, he don't have that leverage. And then now, the way the rookie contract is scaled, you want to get that extra money. There's a difference between like 1, 2, and 3. So get your money. So just because, like you said, and he'll have an opportunity. If it don't work out in Chicago, he'll be fine. Like and that like almost a shape point where he'll get traded somewhere because they're going to give him an opportunity. Like he's not going to go hungry because he's a number one overall pick.
Right.
So he's going to have 2 or 3 cracks at it. So if it don't work out in Chicago, there's 31 other opportunities.
So basically, what you're saying is he should definitely draft number 1 because of how he's going to get paid. He most likely got 3 years. He most likely got 3 years to show something, or most likely they're going to
Shout out to our guy T.I. Yeah, Alex Van Pelt. Yep, is the offensive coordinator in New England.
But
yeah.
Like I said though, I RG3 trolling. Like even when he was on some of the teams and they were talking to him, I was like, man, why are you coming off like one of them dudes that just want a camera in your face? He's coming up. Oh, I know I could do that. I can get back in the league. I could do. I'm like, come on now.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yes.
Alex Van. My bad. Alex Van Pelt is the offensive coordinator. That's the old quarterback from Colorado State, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my guy. I used to like watching him play in college for Colorado State. I didn't realize that was the offensive coordinator. So I hope he do well. Then. That's my guy.
Me too.
Yeah. So that's one thing too. Where because Caleb, he to me, like you say, he is a troll. He's him trolling, and like you said, you got to think about it. Eli Manning did that 20 years ago and I forgot somebody brought up that point where they didn't have social media.
I'm happy he did. I just realized by him doing that, we was able to get Ben Roethlisberger. Ben was supposed to go to the Giants. I appreciate you, Eli, for doing that for me.
And now because it's already like to a point where we had no social media, we didn't have things that's going on now because people are freaking out because he won't give in his medical information. Which, I mean, if I'm the number 1 overall pick, I know I'm going to Chicago. I don't have to disclose all that stuff to you guys, and you don't have to poke and prod me in Indianapolis because it's only one place. I mean, it's almost like I got to get in the Dion treatment. When he was going to the combine, he's asked. I think the Giants interviewed him. They was like, "What pick you got 9th?" Oh, I'm not even gonna be there, so you ain't got to worry about talking to me.
Right.
Because that's how Caleb Williams should. At this point, he had his pro day today. They could poke and prod him today, and I think the brass in Chicago. I think New England was there. We were there, so it's only gonna be 3 places. All 32 of y'all don't need to know what's going on with my body. At the pause.
Right.
Pause. But so I get it.
Right. You're right. I think watching Kirk Cousins and how Kirk Cousins just hustled the bank of being an NFL quarterback and hadn't won one playoff game.
Yeah.
And he was drafted where? And you drafted one. It's about some money and get your bread.
Yeah.
And
he'll be there in a couple, 4 or 5 more years when he's gonna get. It'll be time for him to make bank, and he'll, if it ain't in Chicago, it'll be somewhere. Because quarterbacks is a premium.
I was thinking about that today because I knew we were gonna talk about. I was like, damn man, think about all these places that have had quarterback issues. Like there's so many teams that over probably the last 20 years that had just had quarterback problems. You know what I mean? Yep. And then once they get one, they either work them to death or something. And no disrespect, Coach. I'm talking about the Skins. They got RG3, and then he ended up going downhill. And like they got him. They say we got our quarterback, but then before that they had quarterback issues, and then now they still somewhat has it. They're still going now.
Yeah. Hopefully, April 26th or whatever day it is. I think April 26th or April 28th, that could be it resolved. But I mean, and that's the thing, and that's why like Kirk Cousins is getting paid the money he is, because good quarterback play is a premium. And like we talked about it a few weeks ago, where an average quarterback, an above average quarterback, and a Kirk Cousins can get money because the quarterback play. I don't necessarily saying it's bad, but it comes at a premium. It comes with a price because you got, like you said, that's the biggest thing. If you don't have a quarterback, you look at even the situation like in Kansas City. You know, a quarterback outbeats just about anything. You got a good quarterback. Sometimes it don't even matter who you got around them. If you got a good quarterback,
Right.
well, yeah, Ti, of course, you've had 3 generations of good quarterbacks now with Jordan Love in the fold. See, but
Right.
Ti is a perfect example, like with
Right.
with Green Bay. You know, they've had literally they probably go 40 years without bad quarterback play. I mean, you think
Right.
you know, obviously they got Brett Favre in 92. Now is what 32 years later. You look at that, and you know that's they've won Super Bowls, but they've been in contention for the last 30 plus years compared to other teams like like we're talking about like Washington, who's probably had about 30 plus quarterbacks in that time span compared
Right.
to the Green Bay. They've only had 3 quarterbacks. You know, as far as that played legitimately, obviously you had some guys in between, but those have been your staples for the last 30 plus years, and now you're bringing in a guy like a Jordan Love who potentially will, could be there for another 12, 13 more years. So they literally going to have potentially 40 years of great quarterback play. And that's the difference. And that just shows you. So, people trying to replicate that, it's hard to replicate that. So it's one of the things where it's hard to do it. And if you, like you said, and that's why people pay the type, that they pay. And and it's funny where, and that's why I found it odd about how Green Bay success. Nobody is copying that. Nobody's trying to replicate that because we know the NFL is a copycat league. Like no one is thinking themselves, okay, let's draft a quarterback and let him sit for like a couple years and this, that, and third. Like
You used to.
you used to. But I think that's what we kind of need to get to because at this point now, you're looking at this draft class of 2021. They're pretty much done. I mean, you think and Zach Wilson, God bless his soul, but who wants him? I mean, because now Justin Fields is like the last domino, but he's literally going to be the person at the musical chair table without a chair because I know he can explore trade, but who's going to need him at this point? So it's like unless he might get picked up in a regular season, barring if somebody gets a catastrophic injury, or he'll be like on a practice squad or something, or like a third string quarterback somewhere. But where you gonna go? And
Cleveland.
It's like and that's another one where they got embarrassing the riches. You got Deshaun Watson, you got Jameis Winston.
Oh, that's right. They do got James.
Yeah, they got James.
Dorian Thompson.
That's right. I forgot.
Dorian Thompson Robinson. But so even with Cleveland, and they might have to get rid of DTR, which is, and that's another one. If he gets available, I mean, somebody probably gonna scoop him up.
Right.
So it's like I'm saying, like like I said, when it comes to quarterback play, if you can get a quarterback, you're set. Like, and it's funny, and it's not Ti, but I had a friend that's a Packers fan. We, I always should talk about. I'm like, it's like, dude, you're spoiled. Like, do you understand like how lucky you are to have a quarterback in place, and he's gonna be
right? Crazy.
We talk about Aaron Rodgers, and I'm like, I don't even have enough fingers to tell you how many Washington Commanders quarterbacks we've had in the last 2-3 years. Much less 30 years.
Like,
you're lucky. Like
he said you spoiled.
You are spoiled. Like you are. Like I said, the perfect example. Like that's like I said, who do you know in 2 generations can have good quarterbacks? That's unheard of. Like you can literally say, that's like they're gonna have 40 years of good quarterback play. That's unheard of.
Yeah,
that's unheard of at this point, especially now in this day and age of NFL.
Right.
You can never, you're right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, yeah, for sure. But so gotta talk a little college basketball. So like we talked about it earlier. Obviously, I always say this like the best time of the year. Obviously, with with the tournament and just the excitement of it. And I think more so just all the emotions that come with it. Obviously, these guys are all playing, playing hard to a point where they know this could potentially be their last game, the last run, this, that, and the third. So, and then obviously the agony of defeat and the thrill of victory all at once with the NCAA tournament. So, and the thing I love about the tournament, I always love to hear people's Final Four picks because, and the thing I love about the NCAA basketball, like people's always like, people always say, well, you always got to be you got to be an expert, you got to know what you're talking about. Honestly, you ain't got to know what you're gonna talk about because it's March Madness for a reason, and I will be completely transparent. I've only watched about 10 of these teams that are in the tournament.
I ain't
10.
watch nothing. I ain't watch nothing.
10. So to me, to sit here and be like, "Oh, I'm an expert," I mean, I think I've only watched Carolina, Duke, NC State, Virginia, Duquesne, Dayton, McNeese State. Seriously, like as far as I was able to watch them in somewhat of and like kind of give you somewhat a low caliber analysis on these teams. So, but they be the ones who win. Like people pick, oh, who got the best mascot? So,
It's all
so
luck. It's all luck.
right. So what we're gonna do? We'll start with the men's, and then we'll do the women's. We're gonna do a women's one as well. So,
Yeah.
so Shay, I'm gonna go with you first. Who is your Final Four picks? And so your Final Four pick, and who's gonna be your national champion?
All right, so I'm a UConn fan. Been a UConn fan since Rip Hamilton. So I'm definitely going with UConn. Um, and like you, I have not caught a lot of college basketball. I referee as well. So during this high school season, I've been busy like refereeing basketball. So I didn't get to catch a lot of games. But I try to keep up with the highlights and try to keep up on a little bit on Twitter. I'm gonna go with Marquette.
Mm.
I'm gonna rock with my boy, with our
Yeah.
homegrown. I'm
Yeah,
gonna rock
sharp.
with that. I'm gonna go with North Carolina, and then I'm gonna go with Tennessee. So I'm gonna go two number ones and two number twos.
All right. Who cut down the nets?
UConn, baby. We going back to back. We going back to back.
All right.
UConn.
All right. Who your Final Four, Mal? What you got?
I got number one UConn, number two St. Mary. I got number one Houston, and I got number two Tennessee.
Okay.
And
like Tennessee too.
I'm going Tennessee because he said UConn. I'm going Tennessee to win the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah, they hurt my Miami team last year. I have not forgot about that.
All right. So before I get mine, give our guy Ti. So we got UConn, New Mexico, Kentucky. Shout out to New Mexico. That's that's the Richard Pitino team. Kentucky and then Purdue. And I got UConn beat Kentucky. Okay. Solid picks, Ti. All right. So I got, let's see, who's my Final Four? I got UConn, North Carolina, Marquette, and Purdue. You already know.
I mean, look at these Richmond boys shotgunning out.
I believe Carolina blue. I believe Carolina blue. And we got my boy got to get another ring. We got to groove our local guy Armando Bacon. He got to be a two-time national champion. So we got to get him. We got to get our guy, the Trinity alum. So we got to give him another ring.
The Mondo Burger.
Yes, two-time national champion. So you get streets name after that if you bring back a natty.
You're
So
right.
you
So
got Carolina. So you got Carolina winning.
yeah, I got Carolina beating Marquette in a national championship.
You're supposed to be not
Yes,
biased, man. Not supposed to be biased, man. Come
I
on, man.
work I work Carolina here for a reason.
We got guests.
Hey man, at this point, we got to do something. We didn't make the tournament last year, so
Right,
hey, we
right,
we
right,
back at it again here.
right.
And our guy Armando got to have one more shining moment.
I got you.
Cue Luther
Shining
Vandross.
moment. That shining moment.
Straight facts. But yeah, and shout out to our guy Ti. So he said pretty much 11 seed New Mexico, my upset pick on the Final
I
Four
was
run.
like,
So yeah, so yep. So New Mexico,
yeah.
that's Richard Pitino.
I was
Richard
wondering
Pitino on
about
him.
that. I said that one way out in left field there.
Right.
Yeah, because they won the whack. They won the whack.
They wonder why.
And
Okay.
yeah, so yeah, yep, that's Richard Pitino. Because I don't know. That's what I'm saying. That doesn't show you how like my college basketball is so off. Man, I thought he was still in Minnesota. So I like, because
Word.
somebody asked me the other day about him, because I think we were talking about St. John's one time, because I was a Rick Pitino, and he was like, "Is son still in Minnesota?" I was like, "I guess," but obviously not because he's at New Mexico.
Right.
So, but yeah. So, well, fairly on that one. So we got to do the women's bracket. Shay, what you got?
Let me see here. Let me see. I haven't even filled out my bracket. I'm doing both the men's and the women's, so I
Let's
gotta
talk
make
it.
sure I know where
You want,
everybody
you want
look.
you want me to give you time? You want me to give you time? We'll give you time.
Yeah. Give me a little.
I
Give
give you
me a
time.
second.
All right, I get you. Yeah, because we can wax poetically while you
Right,
get your
right,
bracket straight. All right,
right.
now what you got?
Man, let me tell you something. This is exciting. The women's one's exciting because they the ones getting
So,
all the pub right now. So I got South Carolina, number one South Carolina going up against Stanford. And then
okay.
I got Iowa versus USC. That Iowa versus USC is gonna be serious.
Oh yeah.
That would be serious. And I got in the championship game, I got South Carolina versus USC.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I got USA winning. USC winning.
Oh, Southern California or South Carolina?
South
Which
Carolina.
USC?
I
Okay.
got USC winning.
Okay. Yeah, because around here we gotta, I know what you meant, but we got a little audience sometimes. We're gonna have some audience a little bit further on the
Right.
left side that thinking that you got Juju and them
Right.
winning.
Because South Carolina got that thing about them where they feel like,
Yeah.
I think that even betting wise, I think everybody gonna pick them to win the whole thing. But
Yeah.
Juju,
Yeah. Yeah. Yep, for sure. So I got South Carolina and Texas. No, yeah, Texas. Yes, I got South Carolina and Texas, and then I got LSU and USC. So I think we're on a collision course for a Iowa LSU regional final.
mm-hmm.
We'll have that rematch at the national championship this year. So
Right,
yeah, so I got South Carolina, Texas, LSU, and USC, Southern California, and so I actually have LSU playing South Carolina, and then we all know South Carolina owns them. So give me
right.
South Carolina. So I definitely think South Carolina is going to win.
I almost
Um,
went there because I felt like
yeah,
marketing and promotion wise, that would be great because of that fight.
yeah, and yeah, and one of my biggest upsets of it, I call me a local guy, but I think Richmond gonna beat Duke on Friday.
Mm.
So,
I got a strong feeling about this Richmond team. I mean, I think if they're on, if they own, they got a shot. I know they lost to Duke in the opening in the first game of the season, but I think if they own, you got like an Addie Butnick there, and she could do her thing. I think they got a legitimate shot to beat Duke. So I'm hoping that happens. Obviously, that's concerned, but yeah. So that's who I have as my final four. But yeah, I got the upset on there as well. So I got Ti. So he said I'm chalky with my women's bracket. I got South Carolina, Texas, Iowa, and Ohio State. I got South Carolina beating Ohio State in the championship.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he said his biggest upsets are 12 seed Florida Gulf Coast beating Oklahoma. So that'll be an interesting
Florida
5-12
Gulf
matchup.
Coast making another run on the women's side of things. Okay.
On the women's side, yeah, and that's one thing too. And that's the beauty about that tournament in a sense, because if you do have upsets of that magnitude, that's huge. Because most of as you have seen, like especially in this year where there's such disparity between like seeds, especially in that first round. So if that, and that's one thing too, I think this could be a year where we can have the birth of those type of upsets. Where versus because in the men's that happens often. As far as that 5-12 is almost like in a weird way they're almost seeded similar. So it's like so it's like versus here in the women's where in the past especially when we you had the UConn dominance and Tennessee dominance and all that you know most of the higher seeds always advance, but this could be kind of one of those years where it can happen. Like with Ti saying as far as Florida Gulf Coast, I got Richmond as my dark horse, as well. So but
yeah, I think like you were saying, man, the women's game is in great hands. It's been very exciting this year.
Yeah,
I probably watched just as much women's as I have men's. Even though I haven't watched a lot, but I've definitely tuned into that South Carolina LSU game.
yes,
Both of those. I'm trying to tune into the hour games when I can. Watch Caitlin Clark. So it's very exciting. Even locally, here in the Richmond area, high school basketball, the women's, the girls side of things were very exciting. Especially,
Manchester.
Manchester Thomasdale.
Yeah,
We went to both of those matchups. Very exciting basketball. Both teams had great players. But back on the topic, my bad. Had to plug the local city, local high schools.
Yeah.
But for my picks, definitely South Carolina. I mean, how can you go against Don Staley? And then from the region 4, I'm gonna go with Stanford. I like their coach. And then I'm going with Iowa versus I want to see Juju in there, but I just feel like they're not gonna make it to the Final Four. So I'm gonna go with Ohio State. So Ohio State versus Iowa. I think that is. And then I'm going with Iowa in that matchup. And then it'll be South Carolina. And I'm gonna go with South Carolina beating Iowa in a close game. In a close game, come down to the wire. I do think that will be a tough matchup for South Carolina because Iowa will just they'll run a lot of pick and roll action, and that's gonna you're gonna have, they're big. South Carolina big. I don't know if how she's gonna play that when Clark can space the floor so much. So I think that'll be an interesting matchup if it does happen. I hope it happens. And really to see the coaches kind of go back and forth with the X's and O's on how they're gonna pull the strings.
Yeah, and like like you said, like it'd be a rematch of last year's national semifinal game where Caitlin Clark went off because it really was on a collision course for South Carolina LSU last year. That's what I thought was, but then obviously Caitlin Clark ruined those plans.
Right.
Well, no, well she ruined those plans, end up losing to LSU. But like you said, I know it sucked. I hated that my schedule didn't align with the high school basketball championships. I definitely wanted to see that Thomas Dale Manchester, but obviously, with the 18 was going on, so I
Mhm.
was like, yeah, I was like, man, God, I was because state championships that's
Yeah,
like premium around these parts,
yeah,
so you
Right.
yeah.
know,
Some good
but
basketball.
yeah, yeah, it was, yeah, and I'm like you said, that's one where it's just like it's just a good matchup. So before we get going, so you still have time to do to enter our Couch Coach Live tournament challenge. We have a men's one and a women's one on ESPN. So you can just go and search Couch Coach Live men's tournament challenge and also Couch Coach Live women's tournament challenge. The winner of that gets a $25 Amazon gift card. I think you got until like 12, right at 12 p.m. Eastern Time to fill out your brackets and get that all squared away. I know Shay, you got one. Plug yours as well.
Yes, sir. Marquee Madness, men's bracket, and then Marquee Madness women's bracket. Um, I did set a password. It is Marquee 2024. So real simple stuff. Um, and if you needed to, a spot where you can find all that information, just if you got Instagram at Marquee RVA, you can find all the information there.
Yeah, and also too on ours we have a password as well. So ours is CCL. It's very simple as can be. And huge shouts out, I got Ti checking us out. So yeah, I mean, honest God, I've watched more NBA than college, but still love March Madness. Yeah, and that's the thing about it, where this time of year it's just the best time of year to watch this type of stuff. And I think this is probably the best time because now that especially now in the age of transfer portal and all this roster reconstruction,
Mm-hmm.
these teams are finally starting to gel. Generally right around this time, January, February, in a sense. So now, this is the best time. And now with the parity of college basketball, I know I've been on the fence about, as far as this, transfer portal and all that type of stuff. But this is almost like NFL free agency in the sense where and then think about it's the playoffs. And it's almost like it's like the NFL playoffs in a sense, like where
Right.
it's like
Mm-hmm.
you can go home at any at this point, you can go home at any time, at this point. So, because like you said, you can look at a team in the beginning of the season and you're like, how they trash, but then they put stuff together, and that we've seen that a lot, especially even just along the landscape of college basketball, where teams will start to gel and and get better in March, and you'll get the best of these teams, especially in this time of the year. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then after it's all said and done with, guys gonna hit the portal,
That's right.
Right.
man.
Time to get paid.
It's already a laundry list of guys that's got the portal. Just imagine, like three. Well, what was it? 2 weeks. Well, 2 weeks. 2 weeks from Monday be the national championship. So we come back here in 3 weeks. Man, that laundry list is going to be like a mile long after everything all said and done with college basketball. Yeah, that portal gonna be really heavy. And
And that's why if you whatever college administrator or anybody on they should go watch the Green Bay Packers and use their system because like you should already have some people like you. They know they leaving. We bringing these dudes in, so just in case y'all leave, you know what I mean? Like seriously, man.
yeah,
Seriously,
I mean, yeah.
seriously,
And the thing
seriously.
about with that, where it's interesting because it's the fact of, and then now because I think we're almost at the end of like the COVID seniors in a sense, where guys who were in school during COVID
Right.
get that extra year. So we're assuming that that's going to be that's going to be one of the factors that you don't necessarily have to think about in the sense where guys will be true seniors in a sense unless they're red shirt or
Mhm.
the extra year eligibility can get somewhat kind of murky.
Right.
So yeah, it's gonna be it's a very exciting time. But yeah, but shout out to the pack. so
Mhm.
so we talked about as far as March Madness is concerned, as far as we got games this weekend, but there's also Marquee Madness this weekend. So Shay, you definitely gotta talk about Marquee Madness this weekend. What you got?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, I'm a co-owner of Marquee Sports and Events. Myself and my guy Dontrell, we been running this since 2015. Started with adult leagues, transitioned to youth tournaments. We still do some thing adult programming or adult sports, but typically now we focus in on the youth. So we got our first upcoming youth basketball tournament Saturday over at Richmond Christian School. So shout out to them for having us, letting us use their facility. Um, and then we're gonna have host sixth grade and seventh grade divisions. It's just a small kickoff of the tournament season. Um, this is traditionally when the tournament season starts around this time, mid to late March, early April. Is really kind of when teams start to really kind of dive into the season. So very early, we're gonna host some local teams. We got some teams from 757 coming. Um, the like I said, sixth and seventh grade divisions. So middle school focused, and gonna have come out, get 2 games, get some run. And get ready like a tune up to get ready for the tournament season for those teams that's participating. And we're gonna have a good atmosphere. We're gonna try to do some announcing for this tournament. Uh, so yeah, I think the kids gonna have a good time. I think the coach is gonna have a good time. Spectators gonna have a good time, and so um, something that we've been doing for a while that we love to do and have for the youth. So yep, looking forward to that on Saturday.
Yeah, yeah,
What's up, man? Congratulations,
absolutely,
man.
I appreciate it.
absolutely. All right, so what we're gonna do, we'll put a bow on tonight's Couch Coach Live. So we'll go around the horn. We give out our game ball. We'll do the game ball first, and then once we do that, we'll go into our final thoughts and what have you. So game ball, pretty much a shout out to somebody in the world of sports this week. Who's your game ball this week, Shay? If you got one, if you don't, it's all good.
Man, I'm going with Kyrie Irving, man. Shout out to Kyrie Irving. Uh, I mean, just skilled. He it's the last 4 years or 3 or 4 years for him. Been I wouldn't say turbulent, but it's just been noise around him. Whether he's caused it, some of it he may have put on himself, some of it, um, you know, other people may have tried to write a narrative for him. But yeah, man, he hit the game winner left-handed over Joker. That's crazy. Shout out to him. He got his black on sneaker, Anta. Heard it's a
Right.
real. I've heard good reviews on that. I still do a little hooping, so I'm always looking for a good shoe. So that becomes more and more important as you get older. Uh, so yeah, so shout out to him. That would be my game ball, and plus he did that while fasting. So that makes it even
Make
crazy.
it work, right?
Yeah, for sure. Mal, what you got?
Um, I'm gonna give it to my game ball to Omar Khan, the Steelers GM for and seriously, man, because I think it's a new era with the Steelers right now and how this guy's handling everything and these opportunities. He's not moving too fast, He's and it's like they can. It's like it's the way from what I'm seeing they really handling their business. Like, hey, we and which I think a lot of the players that's coming in is happy because like, man, this is a family. We have, this is what we do. Once you a Steeler, you always a Steeler. As long as you can represent the emblem like you're supposed to, like everybody else. Because one thing about the Steelers, the older ones come back and help also, like Hines Ward, Ferrier, on and on and on. Even some of the ones in the 70s that, nobody, no Steelers is better than that 70s group. Trust me. You know what I mean? So I'm going to give that to him. And I can't remember the name of their podcast, but I also want to give it to JJ Redick and LeBron James. Their first episode came out, and I was really intrigued of some of the insights that was on the podcast. Like it's just basketball, it's detail, it's a lot of things into it. One of the reasons why I like Gilbert Arenas' podcast is when before they get to arguing and stuff, but the detail stuff that they're telling you from behind the scenes of things that the NBA players go through, or just basketball players, and not just NBA players, just professional basketball players. So I want to give them a shout out on that. I want to give them a game ball also.
Yeah. I guess I'd give my game ball to Kevin Keats, the coach of that team, that red team from Raleigh. Shout out to them. They did a decent job, and they won this basketball tournament in DC on Saturday. The team in red. And shout out to them, getting 5 wins in 5 nights. They won more games than the Wizards won all year at home. So shout out to the red team from Raleigh. You get a game ball this week, for the first time, for winning a tournament for the first time since 1987. Congratulations, you get a big cookie. Yeah, so congratulations. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes 37 years later, that's what happens. That's what happens when you're on the other side of the triangle, on the wrong side of the triangle. But shout out to the team in red from Raleigh. Good job. So we'll round it out. Final thoughts. So pretty much just on final thoughts, and then just plug away what you got going on social media and everything else that's going on. So I'm gonna go with you first. Shay, what you got?
Just we appreciate you if you follow us at Marquee RVA, MARQUEE RVA. We do youth sports, do adult sports. We also do special events. So I'd love for you to follow us. Like I said, we're doing tournaments. We're starting our tournament season. We got one coming up Saturday. We'll have one of our bigger ones coming up the following month, April 27th and 28th, 5 courts, 2 facilities. And then we'll have another one day on May 18th. And then we'll have our finale to help teams warm up for their national tournament, whichever one they're participating in, on June 22nd and 23rd. And we service all age groups, 3rd through 12th, just depending on the tournament. If you follow us on social media, you can get all that information and our links to our websites and registration info and things like that. But yeah, just thank you for having me. Final thoughts on the world of sports, what's going on right now. Man, that man Anthony Edwards on another level. I want to see him live. So he's on my bucket list next to go check out. Seems like he's worth the money. So man, shout out AE, just putting people on posters. It seems like every week is another person on a poster.
Yeah.
Another person on a poster.
For sure. So you gonna go to Minnesota, or you gonna catch him on the road?
I wouldn't be opposed to going to Minnesota. Funny thing is, I actually I was looking for tickets for the Minnesota Wizards game, and then I waited too late. They had already came there, and so I went to Went to check out the Warriors instead when they came to the Wizards. Wizards are bad, man.
Yeah,
Wizards
yeah,
are
you
bad.
get a ticket for
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
for
Well, real good
price
price.
for a loaf of bread.
That's right. That's right.
Or what the Kellogg CEO said, eat cereal for dinner. Nah, let's go to a Wizards game for dinner.
Hey, people from from Northern Virginia say, "Hey, man, y'all come to the game because backyard gonna be there after the."
Right.
They had somebody at the game. Oh, they had somebody at the game.
Yeah, that joint was packed.
Yeah, because
That's why they kept. I'm telling you the truth. They say, you know,
somebody. Yeah, they
we
had
gonna have
somebody.
back
Yeah,
northeast.
I saw
Y'all
that
come
footage.
through.
yeah, and they were big. Yeah, shoot. You always go and see Ant-Man in Atlanta.
Right.
In
Right.
Atlanta. In Atlanta.
Right.
Right.
All giving spots. Yeah, Charlotte. Oh, Charlotte.
Charlotte. Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad.
Charlotte decent. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. Go to the game and then enjoy the other festivities outside a little bit.
Yeah, definitely take that little the rail.
Damn.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a neat thing to go. Like I was like, that's
Mhm.
kind of cool. Like we need to have that in Richmond.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we need
It's
we need a
coming.
few things. We need a few things in Richmond.
Yeah. That's a little nice, it's a nice little rail to take you to spots in town.
Yeah.
Mhm. Take us, take us to Green
That's
City.
all we need.
Hall.
They give them that idea, then traffic be messed up even more. Right.
But that's
Oh,
that's big city problems. Like I remember,
right.
like when they had the cycling race, everybody's complaining about the traffic. Then I'm like, hey, that's big city living.
Mm-hmm.
Who's saying, we'll find out. Maybe maybe the next mayor. I know our boy Lavar out the door in November, and maybe the next mayor or whoever. You know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
who knows? But I'm not trying to make this into politics. So I made this into like the Huffington Post of Richmond.
Right.
But yeah, it's all good. We got love for the mayor. But yeah, so nah, what you got? What's your final thoughts and just
Yeah.
plug away what you got?
Hey man, final thoughts. Great show. March Madness. You know what I mean? Getting ready for these NBA playoffs to get situated. If you look at the standings, man, this is some of the really probably can get some great basketball out of this because there's a lot of teams, man, that's like 2 games away from each other, like 1 through 4, then like 4 and 5, and then like 6 through 9. It's crazy on both sides. Like Houston got a good chance to make it to the play-in. And the scary thing about that is we all know they probably could be a problem, even though you probably think they wouldn't. But the way the NBA is set up, anybody can win. You know what I mean? Injuries, because anything can happen. But yeah, man, great show. Can't wait for next week. See what else is going to happen in this week of sports. Because just last week was like, man, what we think Justin Fields going, and then boom, I see a TikTok the next day. So
Yep.
Word, man. Appreciate you coming on too, man. Like, I remember you from what did we go to? We went to that restaurant.
Yeah.
On the show last time?
At
Ironclad.
Ironclad. Yeah. Ironclad. Yes.
So like that was 17, man. And the good thing about that, man, is y'all still doing it. So man, congratulations, man. Yeah, man, Deshaun Morgan, Facebook, DT Morgan 78, Instagram. See y'all next week.
Yeah, and definitely huge shout outs I got to I said my sports thoughts is shame on the NCAA for letting UVA in the first 4 when they were 13 minutes at 1 point last night.
I was saying the same thing.
Yeah, we were saying yeah, also, yeah.
Why are they in?
That was crazy. Led with that. Yeah, we led with that, and it's funny because we was like, I thought about like we saying like, I didn't say this, but as far as other teams that was deserving of it, I guarantee Rick Pitino looking like this is this is bull with a white suit on, and like this is bull. Like I can see him now, like, and I see like, if I'm him, I'll be pissed. If I'm, Indiana State, if I'm even capable at Pitt, like I'm like, we could have came out there and at least did something. Like it, like almost like did they even get off the bus from Charlottesville to Ohio? Like did they? They almost like did they even show up to Dayton at all? It was that bad. Yeah, yep. So yeah, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at Indiana. So yeah, that dude's a monster though. Well, yeah, he's a beast. But yeah, but like it's so many other deserving teams, and but that's hindsight. But it's like you say, it's weird. Like
Let me
most
let me,
cases, yeah,
let me ask you a question. I know that this is digital time, right? How
yeah.
would y'all feel if they put a poll out and everybody put the teams that everybody do the poll? You can even pay and do the poll, and y'all can say the teams that you would like to be in the tournament, and then the people still judge. They pick the ones, but you know what I mean. They if y'all do a poll and say, hey, we think these teams right here should be in it, and they deserve to be in it.
They should do it for like if there's the aid in question, like because you'll have people, you'll have people that will have biases.
Yeah, of course,
That
it's gonna be biases.
yeah,
Of
but I
course,
mean, as
that
far as if the committee say, hey, we got 12 teams, 8 of them can only go in. What's your thoughts on these 12? Like, who should be deserving of 8 of those 12 spots? I mean,
word.
out of
I ain't mad
12
at that.
teams, how would eight of these teams? Because obviously, when you look at like, especially the week going into the conference tournament week for the
Right,
men, they always it's always one of those where everything it moves,
right,
and it's kind of one of those things where like even like give you a perfect example like VCU is a perfect example. Once they beat St. Joseph's Saturday, they were supposed to be the 13th seed playing Duke in Brooklyn, but now it's the Catamounts of Vermont playing them. But
right.
but that shows you because obviously they were looking at it from a scope because if they would have if they would have won against Duquesne, they would have been in the tournament. But now,
Right,
obviously they're in NIT. So it's kind of one of those things where a lot of teams are always on that bubble. It's like you said, if you
right.
said 12, if it's 12 of them, then it's like, okay, you got to pick 8 of them or maybe 6 of them or whatever amount you want to
I'm
do
not
because
mad at that. Word.
yeah, because yeah,
I ain't
because
mad at that.
and a lot of it too, and the only thing about that it would have to be something really instant because obviously
Right,
you got the Big Ten championship at like they
right,
ends at about like 5:30 ish.
right,
So it's almost like so I know they do the show at 6. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, at least then you will have a complete body of work because you really can't do it until the last game is in played, which
right.
would be the Big Ten championship. Yeah.
Word. But I know we got to go, but I think it would be a good idea because we all got our phones, we all got our tablets, and things can move fast. And the people that's really into it, that's willing to pay, will sit there and be like, okay, they are all right. We can then you pick your teams, pick the whatever teams you think could be in there in no time. It won't go. It wouldn't be as slow as you think it would. I think it would go fast. If people
Oh
don't
yeah,
put it
yeah,
in
yeah,
by a
yeah.
certain time, it'd be just
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
I mean, you have to put in about 5:45.
Right. It'd
Get
be just like
tabulated. Oh
that.
yeah, I mean because I
Yeah.
mean you can get the time, you can get the results in an instant. I mean it's definitely now. It ain't like you got to mail it in or anything
Right.
or Scantron.
But I think you always
Going
want to
right.
find a way to get people to be involved, especially March Madness, because some people that
Yeah,
don't even watch it will get in polls, get into betting. You know what I mean? Things work, stuff
yeah.
goes on at work. So I think that would be a good idea because, like you guys are telling me, y'all literally telling me, man, Virginia shouldn't have been in there.
No, they shouldn't have.
Yeah, and I think we're saying that I know me personally, I'm only really saying that because of just that performance
Right.
against Colorado State. I can go back and forth about their resume because, like I said earlier, if you look at from a blind resume standpoint, a team that won 23 games, after I don't know what they were third in the
Hey,
ACC. Matter of fact,
ACC, right?
I'm gonna actually get what's their record men's basketball. It's kind of like, and I know sometimes they do this a lot, especially like during tournament week, as far as like doing like blind resumes. They'll just say, hey, they compare team A to team B. Okay, who was
Right.
their best wins, this, that, and the third. So it's kind of like one of those where it's It's like splitting hairs. Like it's I don't know. I think it's just because of the simple fact of how they lost in this game. I mean,
because they couldn't score.
yeah,
Like,
right, and that's a thing where because and that's where it gets tricky more so than anything because this is a 20+ win team in Atlantic Coast Conference, which in theory that's usually you're a shoe in unless the conference is that bad, which normally you ACC has had some down years as far as because it used to be years where they would probably get like 7 or 8 bids. Yeah, this year they got 5. So this year they got 5. So yeah, I get it, but I'm saying it's kind of like I said, it's that blind resume thing where it's just like because you can say that it's like I said when it comes to that voting thing, that's where
right,
that can be somewhat of a where you can split it where
right.
you know it's odd. It's just one of those things where I know people looked at them getting that large that large bid was kind of but I I mean it's weird because the way they lost, even though they lost NC State in overtime, but they still lost to them in the quarterfinal round. So they didn't even make it.
Mm,
They didn't even make it past Friday. They lost Friday night. So
right.
it's like it's kind of one of those where I think if they would have went a little deep in the tournament, because obviously I know this right because all right because let's see. Oh no, that's right. They made oh so that's right. They made the Friday night. So they won their first game and then they lost to NC State on Friday because that's right because NC State beat Duke in the quarterfinals and then they beat UVA. So okay. Now if they would have made it to the championship, AC championship game, then it would have built to that resume. That's the thing was, it's like you said, it's and and then you always sometimes a lot of people they really don't take a lot of stock. Some people take say the committee they kind of voice kind of what they see and stuff as far as because I know they look a lot of those like road wins and what have you. So it's kind of like it's it's like splitting hairs. And like you said, you can make a case for anybody at this point because and that's the thing with college basketball. Especially when you're down to those final 64, 65 teams. It's just I mean, it's one of those
I
things where
I just think that
yeah,
y'all college people that watch really college basketball, they are biased with their teams. Of course, who wouldn't be, but they're more
yeah,
honest than most. They're more honest than most because they love college football, basketball, whatever. They especially basketball. They love it. So I just felt like it's just an opportunity, man, where you can get from being analog to digital. You know what I mean? That's all I'm really saying. Like you can interact
yeah,
more because, like today, I could tell by everybody's face that they're a little upset. Not that Virginia lost, but for the simple fact of how boring it was. And I think that's the real problem. And then even the coach, as he spoke, I know we already talked about it, but even he had an attitude like, man, I don't know, we gotta do something different. Like, shit. Like,
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
man. It's intriguing to say the least, but
right.
yeah, man, it's back to the drawing board for him. But yeah, man. So yeah, we'll put a bow on tonight's show. So definitely, huge shout out to everybody checking us out. Definitely huge shout out to other co-hosts, our guy Ti for chiming in. Definitely appreciate your input and being a part of the show. Ride with us. Definitely huge shout out to our guy Shay. We'll definitely have you on again. It's not gonna be another 7 years. I promise. It's gonna be another 7 years. I
I
promise.
appreciate it.
But,
Yeah, man.
we'll get up during the NBA
Coach,
playoffs. I
coach,
know.
coach be busy. Coach be doing big things, man. I'm talking about Columbines. I'm talking about I'm talking about going to the college for what is it? College football Hall of Fame. Like Coach be doing big things, man.
Oh yeah, that was more so of like that was like a vacation when we went to Atlanta. Atlanta.
Yeah.
But no,
I'll
yeah.
be trying to keep up with him on Instagram. Social. I see you making moves.
Yeah, man. Just trying to. It's very, very busy schedule, but it is what it is. But hey, that's what you know. That's what you pray for. Hey, pray for it. So hey,
Right.
gotta embrace it. So
Yeah.
so for sure. So put up on tonight's Couch Coach Live, and so also don't forget the tournament challenge, Couch Coach Live men's and women's tournament challenge. Password CCL. Winner gets $25 Amazon gift card. So I think we got a somewhat of a number. Well, hey, we can increase that as well, and also a two bracket max. So you can do two brackets. Be
Yeah.
fair.
Okay.
So you got double the chances, and I mean definitely a huge shout out and all that's concerned. So so we'll be back next week here on Couch Coach Live, man, and we're out.
You're welcome.